Before we start today's notes, I don't think I saw this in the homework, and I know it wasn't in our notes. What would we do for that? Like if we were asked to simplify this, or I don't know what the wording would be.
It's part of our notes.
Yep. This is before, well, I guess it's part of 6.2 anyway. But the portion of 6.2 that we're going to do today is called Pascal's triangle, which I'll put up afterwards.
Can you just rewrite it by +3?
No, not a bad thought.
Yeah, since it's square, it means it's times itself, so you put it next to each other 2 times.
Yeah, the whole point of the squared means you multiply by itself. So we could write it as 2 separate parentheses and then FOIL it out. Now, I don't need to do the foiling with you because I think you're okay with that. You would get this answer. You get 4x squared minus 12x plus 9. And then a cubed would mean 3 times. I also don't think you had anything that was multiplied 3 times in your homework. I don't remember seeing one. Now here's the problem / mistake that some people might make on this one. So you're so used to distribution, foiling, all that kind of stuff, that some people, when they see this written out with 3 things, they immediately want to just start multiplying everything out. And it doesn't work. So you can only do multiplication with 2 things at a time. So whether that's 2 parentheses, whether that's 2 terms, multiplication really only works in conjunction with addition and subtraction. We only do it 2 at a time. So what you would have to do is you would have to pick any 2 parentheses, multiply them first. And then take that answer times 2x minus 3. And then this we could distribute like we did yesterday. Now I don't know the answer off the top of my head. I'm fine not doing it. But this is what leads us to today's. I say this leads us to today's because this is not something you'd ever want to do. So let's say you have more than cubed. Something that's cubed, this one on the right-hand side, you could multiply it out. It would take a little bit of time, but you could do it. I don't think you want to, but you could. As soon as you get past third power, it really gets annoying. Because if I have this thing written out 6 times, I already lost count. 5. You still can only multiply 2 at a time. So you would have to multiply that, get that answer, take that answer times that one, get an answer, take that answer times this one. It would take forever. You don't want to do that. So today's notes is all about it is a shortcut. It's not like it's easy or simple, but it's definitely a shortcut. And that's the only purpose for today's portion of the notes. It's when you're trying to expand out a binomial to a power. So binomial means 2 things. If you're trying to take 2 terms to a power, it follows what's called Pascal's triangle. So forever ago, Pascal he figured out a pattern. And so we use that pattern to help us figure out larger answers. Oh, look at that. I did have it here. This is going to be Pascal's triangle. We'll start by writing 1 and 1. Yeah, those, it kind of looks like it could be whatever, but those are 1s. The second row of Pascal's triangle is created by adding the two numbers above it. So the 1 and the 1 would make a 2. The 1 and the nothing would make a 1. This 1 and the nothing next to it would make another 1. So this is called the second row of Pascal's triangle. Third row is created by adding everything above it. So 1 and 2, 3. 2 and 1 make 3. 1 and nothing make 1. 1. So the outside two numbers are always going to be 1. Just because they're always going to be adding with nothing on its other side. Yeah,
Can this just like keep going on forever?
it does go forever. I mean, we're not going to do that, obviously. We don't want to do this more than a couple minutes. I would say you're probably going to want to go to the 6th row. So if you guys want to try to calculate it on your own, go for it. Like for just fun to do. If you don't want to calculate it, just copy mine. And obviously they start to get bigger. Dot, dot, dot. It kind of looks like a Christmas tree. I could make a math holiday tree. Okay, let me pick a random row. Let's pick the 4th row. The way the 4th row would be used, if I were to take two things to the 4th power, the answer is going to go in this ratio / order. It's going to be 1a to the 4th plus 4 a3b1 plus 6 a2b2 plus 4 a1b3 plus 1 b4. So the whole point of these numbers is they tell us what the multiplier in front of each set of terms is going to be. So if I were to take a plus b to the 4th and FOIL it out 4 separate times, I mean FOIL not the correct word, but multiply it out 4 separate times. No, I guess it'd be 3 times because you take the first 2. Either way, I multiply it all out, I would get this at the end. Now you probably see the pattern where we take the first item to the highest power, and then each term following that shifts the power 1 each time. So the second term, the A went down a power, the B went up a power. The 6th term, the A went down a power, the B went up a power. And that happens until you get to the last term where the A has no powers, B has 4. Does that kind of make sense? No. Oh, I saw a lot of no's. Yeah, go for it.
Why do you have to start one of the terms at 0 then?
Yes.
Power 0?
Like, I'm definitely not going to be multiplying this out with you. But if I did multiply this out, the a would be multiplied times the a, give you a squared and some other stuff. The a squared would be multiplied times the a, give you a cubed and some other stuff. And then the a cubed would be multiplied times the a and give you a to the fourth and a bunch of other stuff. So the first term is always made from all of the first terms multiplied, which is going to be to the highest power. And the last term is always going to be the last terms multiplied together to the highest power. So I know it's going to be ending with B4. That's kind of where the end terms come from. The middle terms are made up of all the junk from the middle stuff. Is this like nothing so far? Does this feel way above your head? You guys are giving me almost no indication here. I see confused looks, but I also see people with confused looks shaking their heads saying this makes sense. Should we just try to do a problem together?
Yeah.
Okay. No. Yes. Let's do this one together. So a plus 3 to the fourth power. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write down the fourth row of Pascal's triangle, which I don't expect you to memorize, but I did show you how to create it if you need to. But I'll put it up on the board if you ever need it. So
On the test, will it be on the board, or do we have to remember it?
that's what I just said. I'll put it on the board if you ever need it. I'm not worried about you memorizing it, and I don't want you to have to take the time to create one. Yeah. Okay, so I see a fourth power. First thing I'm going to do is I know that it's going to go 1, 4, 6, 4, 1. So I know my final answer is going to have 5 different things. Maybe I should spread them out a little bit more. Well, that almost worked. We'll go with that. My first term is the A's. So I know that it's supposed to be 1. I should include these with it. Now, do you want me to explain how I figured out what letters to put there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I took the first letter and I made it to the highest power. So that's A4. And when I say highest power, the power on there is what tells it. The next term, I drop the first one down 1. So it's now 3. I bring the next one up 1. So now it's 1. So now I have B1.
But where'd you get B?
B represents the second thing. A is the first item, B is the second item. I feel like you're probably getting confused because that was an A. Let's make that X. Sure. A represents the first thing, B is the second thing.
So B is 3. No.
Yeah, it will be. Yep. Not yet, but it will be. Correct. The next term, we bring the first one down 1, bring the second one up 1. And you keep following that pattern until you go through all of them.
So is it kind of like the first term starts from the highest on the left side and then just gradually goes down by 1?
Definitely.
And then the opposite with the second term?
It does that until the second term is at the full power too. Yep. Once you get the pattern, once you see the pattern, it's obvious, but I absolutely can understand how it's taken a while to see it.
Is it a coincidence in this problem that, like, for example, for 6, A squared, B squared, that those two equal 4, and then, like, for 4, A squared, B, it's A squared, and then
They all add up
split
to
it
4.
1. Okay,
Yep.
that's-
Nope,
that would
not a
be like that in
coincidence.
every problem?
If we did another problem to the 6th power, all of the powers would add up to 6.
Okay.
Yep. Pascal's triangle, yep,
Because of the power?
correct. Yes, so the fourth power here is what made me decide to use the fourth row.
So whatever, like you find, like you just said, like the fourth row or like the third row, whatever.
Yep.
Is so like A to the fourth, A to like those, is that always gonna be the same?
When you say the
Like,
same,
let's say you pick the third row, would it be one, A to the fourth, and then three?
Nope.
A to the third.
so if you pick the third row,
Yeah.
then that means it's something cubed. So then your first one would be A cubed. Second one would be A2B1. Third one would be A1B2.
Oh, so it always has to have.
Yes, it's going to add up to whatever power's here.
Okay.
Yep. Because I'm sure I have an example next that's a different power, yeah. We'll do that one last. Okay. So my answers are going to be 1. A is represented by the first thing, which in this case is an X. So for every single A that I wrote above, I'm going to put an X in its place. For every B, I'm going to put a 3. First thing, second thing. That's all A represents. So A, I'll put an X. B, I'll put a 3.
Are you gonna do that for like every problem, like put in an X?
You put in the first thing, put in the second thing. So once you get good at these, you don't need to write what I wrote up on top, because you'll kind of just know to do that. Now, I'm also not trying to scare you. Like, if this makes 0 sense to you, do you remember what I showed you at the very beginning of the hour? You can multiply it out the long way. Like, you can still find an answer. This is just a shortcut method. So if this doesn't click with you at all, you can do it the long way and you can FOIL things out a bunch of times. So don't feel like you're guaranteed to get a question wrong on the test, because you can always do it a different way. Okay, so then I simplify. This is basically how we're going from yesterday. So this is 1x to the fourth. This one becomes 12x cubed. This one becomes 9 times 6, 54 x squared. 3 cubed is 27. What's 27 times 4? 80. We got 108, thank you. 108x to the first. 81. Yeah. Now, once you do figure this pattern out, it's super helpful, because then when you get big things to find, there's very little work involved. You just kind of write the things down.
So if we don't use the Pascal's
You-
triangle, we can just FOIL A plus B 4 times.
If you don't use Pascal's triangle, you can do it this way. And then the downside to this way is you can only multiply 2 things at a time. So, like, you could take the first 2 and the second 2, and then that turns into this. And then you could take three things times 3 things like we did yesterday and get 9 terms. And those 9 terms would simplify down to what I have circled right there. So you would get the exact same answer doing it either way. Downside is just the blue way is a lot slower. I mean, not right now probably, but
For the like first part of it, would you always start with like the first, like A is just a long one and then it ends with
Yep.
B, like
Exactly. You start with the first term to the highest power, and then you start shifting one of the powers each time. Should I put up another example? Okay. Let me change this one slightly. Let me write this as 2x minus 3 to the third. Okay, because it's cubed, I'm going to write down the third row of Pascal triangle, which was 1, 3, 3, 1. Now the first one is going to be the first term to the highest power. So in this case, cubed. You talking about the 2?
Yeah, that's what
Okay, that's what we're going to put in place of A. So the next term, the 3, is going to be A2B1. The powers always add to 3, and you're just writing the different combinations. AB2, B3. The 2x is what we're going to put in place of A. The negative 3 is what we put in place of B. How are we at this one so far? I mean, obviously we didn't finish it or simplify it, but like the hardest part is writing in the correct things. And that's where I'm hoping you guys will ask questions on if you have them. For some of you, is this so difficult that you're not even sure what to ask? Or is this going okay? In between so far, okay? I mean, this is a difficult topic. You're being shown it this year so that you know what it is. You're not going to be expected to master it yet. And then if you take pre-calc, you're going to see it again. And then you use it more thoroughly because it's got purposes. Like knowing how to do a binomial to a power has actually purposes for you. So that's why you're learning it now. And then if you get to calc, you're kind of expected to be really good at it by then, so you can just use it. So don't feel like you should be good at this right away. How do I take 2x cubed? I think I saw some people writing on their own, trying to figure out on their own is my guess. What is it? What's that kid's name? Ethan. Ethan is trying to go to sleep.
No. I'm good.
Ethan, can you help me out?
I can try.
Okay, excellent. How do I take 2x cubed?
You gotta write it down 3 times.
Perfect. So what would the answer be? But what you said was great. Why is it?
Right?
Yeah. I was just going to say, why is it 8x cubed? That was great.
Thank
You can go back to sleep now. Do you want to call in the next person?
you.
Oh, I was more than right next to you. Okay, sure. Actually, Nico already went today. I don't know. You answered something earlier.
You can pick. Jaden.
Jaden, but he wasn't sleeping.
Right, I wasn't sleeping, so.
I know.
It should be Charlie.
I agree. Wait, who?
Charlie,
Where'd you get that from?
I don't know, I heard it.
You're just trying to throw somebody else under the bus. Oh my. Okay, let's go with, who should we go with? Let's go with Grant. Grant, did you figure out this second term?
Would be 18x squared.
Like that?
Yeah.
Okay, how come? Not saying you're right or wrong, just where'd you get it from?
We'll multiply the 3 by 3 and by 2.
Ah, very close. Very close.
12.
Okay, let's do things. The x squared was definitely right. Like that's the next term. The number though, we're going to have 3, 2 squared, and then negative 3. So the number that's going to go here is negative 36. Are you wondering where the 4 came from? That's usually where most of you will get stuck if you did, probably. Are we okay with the 4?
You just square it.
Yep, you just square that too. Correct. Okay, so I can leave the plus if I want and write negative 36.
Or you can just do
You can also write minus 36, whatever you prefer. They're both correct. So it's just however you like to write it. I know some people it really bothers them to write plus negative, so it's okay, good. And this example that we're doing right now is as difficult as they get because it's got multiple parts to do. So if this one is going okay for you, feel good about it. Like this is as hard as you'll get. So I've got a 3, I've got a 2, and I've got a 9. So 54? And it's going to be positive because that negative 3 was squared. And then I've just got a single x. And then I've got a negative 27, negative 3 cubed. Yeah.
Why was 36x squared and 54x?
So this little squared that was on 2x, that squared is going to go on both things. And so that's where the 4 came from, and then it's also going to make the x squared. So on the next term, there was no power on the 2x, so that's why it was a regular x.
Okay.
But if you want to know if you're doing it correct, on your answer, these powers should go down by 1 each time. So I've got an x cubed, an x squared, an x, no x. Okay, I'm going to give you guys one to try on your own. What time do we get done? 15, all right. I'm going to give you one to try on your own. If you can do it, then that basically means you can do any one of these. Let's change this up because it's like the exact same thing. Let's not have 2x minus 3. Let's do, should we also make it 5th power so it's not so much? So basically completely change the problem. I see. Let's go with, I kind of want to keep a 2 because as soon as you pick like 3 or higher, the numbers get really big. I guess we'll just stick with a 2. 2, what letter should we go with? That's kind of boring. W? That's a weird one, but we'll go with it. I can't even write a W. 2, that feels odd. 2W plus, I suppose I could give you another letter. I don't want to do that. Should I give you another letter? No. Okay.
Because if you gave us another letter, what would go into that letter?
It's up to you.
If you gave us another letter, what would go in?
Whatever letter I wrote.
Oh, so a number wouldn't go into it?
Oh, there might be a number on it, just like this 2W.
Oh,
Let's do that.
no.
There we go. And if you need to. Oh, what? This isn't working very good. Everything's separate. Was it 1, 5, 15, 20?
Yeah, no, it was 1, 5, 10.
I was thinking of the sixth line. Okay, thank you. Does that mean lunch is later today? Oh, it is. It's terrible because I'm already hungry. I forgot to eat breakfast. I had to get here for the meeting. The meeting started right at 7:30 on how to use the electronic passes. Feel free to use your calculators. I'm gonna have to use 2 lines.
Can you explain this problem?
Let me finish writing it. But I can. It is long. Okay, what do you want me to explain?
Cause the 2 letters are like,
Making you what?
confused.
Okay. So on all the other ones, we were just using like an A and a B. So this would be 1A to the 5th, 5 A4 B1. I didn't leave enough room here apparently. 10 A3 B2, 10 A2 B3, 5 A1 B4, and then 1 B5. So are you okay with that part, like before we, like the A and the B things? Okay. So 2W is just what we call A because it's the first item. And then 3K is what we call B because it's the second thing. A and B just stand for first term, second term. And so I'm going to put 2W in place of every single A. And then I'm going to put 3K in place of every single B. And yes, it turns out to be a lot of stuff. So 2 to the 5th, is that 32? Oh, okay. 16 times 5 is 80 times 3, 240. W4K1. Oh, this was a mistake. Should not have done fifth power. 8 times 9 is 72, 720. W3K2. I'm probably gonna have to move this over. Plus 420. 270 times 4, 540, 1080. Oh my God, these are getting big. Do not feel bad about using a calculator. I think I have the numbers right. Number one, I wanted to pick the most difficult question you could get in our notes so that anything you practiced in homework or on a test would be easier. Guaranteed you're not going to get a fifth. No, I shouldn't say that. I was going to say guaranteed you're not going to get a fifth power on the test. You're not going to get something this extensive on the test because it's just going to take too long, even though, like, this is how long it took with the shortcut. If we didn't use the shortcut, it'd probably take us 15 minutes, 20 minutes to do it. And think of all that multiplication, like the chances of you having every single, I guess they're all plus signs, but you'd make a mistake somewhere along the way. So the shortcut is supposed to be better at reducing errors. But this one obviously took a long time even with the shortcut. So on the test, if you get a question like this on the test, expect it to be third power or fourth power at the most. And then I wanted to put what, like if you have one on the test, it's going to be one that can be done by hand if you don't want to use Pascal's triangle. I'll put it that way. That's my goal. It obviously would take longer, so I wouldn't recommend it, but I also want one that would be able to be done if you didn't like this. Okay, but this is as difficult as you get because it has lots of stuff, big numbers. I don't know. I'll stop there. I don't even know if I want to give that. Ouch. Excuse you. How about I make this a better idea? This can be part of Fridays when I'm gone. I don't know if that'd be a bad idea. It's 2 days later, but like I'm okay with this not being homework tonight because this is a tough topic to learn, and you guys did pretty good. Let's just take the day off of homework.